Greetings, the Madden Curse, and now there's the Fantasy Focus Favor. Welcome into Fantasy Focus Baseball. He's Matthew Berry, and I'm Molly Karam. And Matthew, I know the season is just a month old, but week in and week out, it seems that we mention a guy on the show, and then he steps his game up. Our latest example is David Freese. We talked about him on the show on Friday. He was so inspired that he went 5 for 8 with 2 homers over the weekend.
We're going with Favor. That's what we're going with, Fantasy Focus Favor.
Favor, I thought of it. Has he shown enough to be an option in corner infield option in standard mixed leagues?
I think so. You know, you mentioned how hot he's been recently, and it's been crazy. 3 home runs, 10 RBIs in his last 5 games. In fact, over the last 7 days, Molly, he's number 2 on our ESPN player rater among third basemen, behind only Evan Longoria. And it makes sense, right? You see the high batting average there, and look at where he's hitting in that lineup. The last couple of days he's been hitting 5th or 6th. Anytime you get to hit behind Albert Pujols and Matt Holliday, chances are there's going to be some RBI opportunities for you, and you're going to see some good pitches. He had a hot spring, and it's carried over into the regular season. Yeah, you know, he's kind of one of those post-hype sleeper, right? You know, last year a lot of people really liked him, sort of disappointed, but now fully healthy. Remember, he's battled some injury issues in the past. Feels like Freese is a guy that can really step up. I'm high on the entire Cardinals offense.
Well, a guy who probably feels like he is cursed is the Royals' Zach Greinke. 8 innings of 1-run ball against the Rays. For the reigning Cy Young winner, 0-3 on the season, another loss, but great numbers across the board. Is this someone owners should target to steal from a frustrated owner?
Yeah, if you can. I mean, it's early. We mentioned this, right? It's 1 month. You look at last year, and after this point last year, Edwin Jackson had very similar numbers, 1.03 whip, a 2.25 ERA, and just 1 win. He obviously finished the year with great numbers. Edwin Jackson did with 13 wins and that kind of stuff. Look, Zach Greinke is too good a player, right? The Royals have 10 wins on the season. The Red Sox have 11. You're not gonna panic and bail on Josh Beckett or John Lester. So yes, if there's somebody out there with a Greinke owner, I would absolutely call him up and say, hey, what do you want for the guy? You know he's not going to get wins. Maybe he's going to get 6, 7. Look, Zach Greinke's going to finish with 13 to 15 wins, okay? He is. He's not this cursed. It doesn't look good so far, but absolutely, if ever there was a time to pounce on Zach Greinke, this is the time.
Well, one guy who is feeling his pain right now is Sean Markham. Markham has allowed 3 earned runs or less in 5 of his 6 starts, but didn't get his first win until Sunday. 34 strikeouts to go with a 3.12 ERA. Should Markham be owned in more than 28% of standard mixed leagues?
Yeah, I believe so. And you know, it's tough in leagues that are shallow because there's such good pitching prospects, but he's certainly a matchup guy, and you see the numbers there. He's on the mark, Molly, as our graphic lets you know there.
So clever.
Mark with a C. You know, he's 5th in the American League in strikeouts, 11th in whip, and 2nd in innings pitched. He's going longer into games, which you always like to see. His K per 9 is over 7. Markham is the real deal. He's a legit pitcher. You know, he flirted with a no-hitter earlier in the season. So, yeah, I like Markham a lot. He definitely needs to be owned in more leagues, and I don't think this is a fluke. Again, wins, you don't chase wins. They will come or go. It's hard to say, right? We've seen pitchers give up 5 earned runs in 3 innings and still get the win because their offense bails them out, and then we see hard luck cases like Greinke. Don't worry about wins. Get good pitchers with good skill sets, and the wins will ultimately follow.
So Markham has his first win since 2008, and Alfonso Soriano has been playing in his 2008 form of late. A double and 2 homers on Sunday. Do you think Soriano is getting back to the value owners associate him with, or is he still someone you can't expect too much from?
Somewhere in the middle, Molly. And you know what? Look, we heard the news in the preseason, right? Oh, Soriano, you know, his old hitting coach is back there. He's going to hit lower in the order where he performed somewhat better in 2009. And a couple of things that concern me about Soriano right here, okay? He's currently hitting over 325, right? Well, he's a career 279 hitter. And in fact, you look at his career, you look at the career splits. In April, he's a career 297 hitter, and then in May and June, 277 each of those months. So it's coming down. The average is not for real at all. And then you look at the home-road splits, right? Hitting over 400 at home, hitting around 250 on the road. That makes me concerned, especially once it gets warmer in Chicago and Wrigley Field. I think the power's legit, right? At his worst, he hit 20 home runs last year. So I think the power's legit, but he's on pace for 40 home runs, and I don't think you see that. I think he's a guy that's going to wind up with 25 home runs, 275 average. And if you can sell him for more than that, absolutely. He's owned in 100% of leagues, but I definitely would see if you can get someone to buy into, oh, he's back, he's totally back, I would do it, because I don't think he's totally back.
Well, the A's and Diamondbacks are hoping that Ben Sheets and Edwin Jackson can flash back to their previous form because this current stuff ain't working for them, Matthew. Is it too early to drop these two?
No, it isn't. And in fact, I think you should. You know, I mentioned Edwin Jackson earlier in the show and just how good he was last year. Well, he's been the exact opposite. And I think part of the problem is switching leagues. Fly ball pitcher, that is not a place he should be in Arizona. You look at the numbers there on the screen there. And by the way, Sheets has been even worse. Over his last two starts, 0-2 with a 20.86 ERA, Molly, giving up 8 earned runs and then 9 earned runs. He's owned in 65% of leagues. Edwin Jackson owned in 93%. I would drop both of these guys. In a 10-team shallow mixed league that's a non-keeper league, I would drop both those guys and pick up guys like Chase In from the Rockies, who just came up 7 innings scoreless, 7 strikeouts. He's an elite prospect. Or Tom Gorzolani, who struck out 10 the other day, and he's got a great ERA. He's been fantastic this year. There's lots of guys like that. I still see Jaime Garcia available in some leagues. You know, John Garland's had another good start, and he's been good. He's a good spot starter for Petco. I'm just saying, like, I think it's way too horrible to be hanging on to these two guys. Unfortunately, I don't see either Jackson or Sheets turning it around anytime soon.
Jackson is the first pitcher to struggle going from the AL to the NL.
Yeah, right.
Matthew, it's Monday. We always work the wire, but before you give us a guy to grab, I want to get your thoughts on Joe Blanton. The Phillies activated him today. He will have a season debut against the Cardinals. What league should he be owned in, and would you start him today?
I think he needs to be owned in all leagues. Like, I think he's very, very good. Ever since coming over to Philadelphia from Oakland, he's been terrific, and he's increased his strikeout. So I think he needs to be owned in all leagues, including 10-team mixed leagues. That said, in a 10-team mixed league, I wouldn't start Blanton against the Cardinals. You know, I want to see what he has. First start's always rough. But if you're in an NL-only league or a deeper 15-team league, mixed league, that kind of thing, yeah, go ahead and throw Blanton in.
Okay, Matthew, 2 weeks ago you gave us Ty Wigington, and he has been on a tear. Like I said, fantasy focus favor.
Yep.
Last week, Will Venable, not so much. He hit 118 on the week. Give owners somebody to hitch their wagon
I'm still
to
hitting
this
500. You know what? I'll give you a guy here, and that's Eric Young Jr., available in 99% of ESPN.com leagues, and I don't really get it. Look at that. You look at the 4 stolen bases, Molly. That's in like 7 games, okay? He's on pace for 82 steals, hitting .333 on the year, as you see there, just 24. The thing that I like about Eric Young Jr. isn't just the speed, because it's obviously very plentiful. I mean, he's stolen 80 bases in the minors before. He stole over 40 last year, over 50 2 years ago. The speed is no question. But the fact is that the Rockies want to get him in the lineup. We've seen him play some outfield. We've seen him play some second base. With Clint Varmus struggling, I think that even when